Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock and we're going to have a lunch and learn with Remedio. So we've got Jamie Byers going to join us in a second. This is going to be a thing we're going to do every week for the next 4 to 6 weeks, giving you different ideas about what Remedio are about and also learn a bit about the individuals involved. So we'll need to get Jamie in. Here we go. How are you, Jamie?
I'm well, Lee. Thanks for inviting me on today.
We're a bit more rushed than we thought, because last time we spoke when we were getting set up, I was looking at the time, I thought we had 2 minutes, and then it must have been 1 second before 1 minute. So by the time we got everything going and got the stream live, we were up and running at that point. So a little bit quicker than I thought it was going to be. So we're going to talk through a few things about you today, because we want to know a bit more about you, but also we're going to talk about Remedio as well. So it'd be great to start off with a little bit about yourself. So if you can tell us, a bit about your background, and then we'll move on to your career.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Lee. So Jamie Byers, originally from Manchester, a big Manchester United fan for my sins. Great result of the weekend, by the way. But yeah, so I born and raised in Manchester. I left Manchester when I was about 18 years old, moved over to the US, where I went to university, played soccer over there in university for a little while. Then came back to the UK 2009, 2010. Met my wonderful wife. Now we live in southwest London with a wonderful little 2.5-year-old.
Can I just ask you a question about the US bit then? So which university and where? And why?
So I went to so I was at Manchester United as a youth and reserve team player, and there was a lot of wonderful talent ahead of me and behind coming through the ranks. So I was released at the age of 18, and rather than pursue a career in football in the UK, I decided to continue my education and go out to the US and continue to play football. So that's how I ended up in the US. Following that, I had a couple of years where I played a little bit of professional football out there and semi-professional football before realizing that it wasn't going to make me enough money in the US, and then moved into a sales profession. So yeah, I moved out there when I was 18, graduated when I was about 22, 23, went to a school in Boca Raton, Florida. So it wasn't a bad part of the world. Couple hours north of Miami. Yeah, a couple hours north of Miami at 18 years old was an interesting experience. And yeah, that's how I ended up there.
Okay, so coming on to our next question. Now, I know you from Simplivity, and we spent quite a bit of time working together with that HCI platform, and introducing that to customers and selling it around the UK. But what came before and what was after that Simplivity time? And also, I know about Simplivity, but not everybody else will know. So if you give us a brief idea of what Simplivity was as well when we get to that point in your career.
Yeah, sure. So upon graduating in the US and then playing a little bit of football and, maybe not making the grade, then I moved into different sales disciplines over there. And it was 2009, 2010, I think, kind of the 13, 14-year holiday that I'd had in the US had kind of come to an end. So I decided to move back home. And when I came back, the area that I fell into was IT. So I joined a very small IT consultancy firm in East Manchester that was working out of an old co-op building with water dripping from the ceiling. And during the winter, it was extremely cold because there was no double glazing. And I remember my first day, I was given a big yellow pages, which probably don't exist these days to the same size and scale that they do now, and told,
I don't think so.
Exactly, right. And it was start at A and work through the alphabet and see if you can find somewhere we can do some business. And that was kind of my introduction into the world of IT. So a few years later, I was very proud to be part of that organization that moved into some really nice corporate offices in a really nice area of Manchester. And that company's gone from strength to strength over the years. So during the course of time at that organization, one of the vendors that we were promoting within the UK was called Simplivity. It was a hyper-converged technology which effectively collapsed storage and servers into a small, more manageable device that could save fortunes for organizations on their infrastructure costs and data center hosting costs. And so I'd been successful selling that technology within the reseller that I was at, or the consultancy. And then I was asked to join that organization. And it was a great opportunity for me to move from the reseller or consultancy space into the vendor world. So that's how we met, Lee. And quite a few years ago now, but great to reconnect.
How did you find that? Because that's quite a change, isn't it? From end user sales to effectively working alongside a partner in a partnership selling to end users.
Yeah, it was, I really enjoyed it because the consultancy firm, although there was a lot to offer, there was an awful lot to learn, and there was an awful lot of where you could go, but you were more of a jack of all trades rather than a specialist in one. And so joining a vendor, it was very specific, right? This is our technology, this is our product, these are the challenges we solve, this is the value we bring. And to be able to articulate that was a lot more simpler than trying to throw anything at the kitchen sink and hoping, something sticks. So I really enjoyed that. I love that organization from its culture and from everybody that pulled together the partner network that included Tactile Technology at the time. It was a really great time to be part of an organization like that. And that's kind of part of the journey of where I've ended up where I am today, was from what the opportunity from Simplivity and the way that works within my career made me feel.
Yeah, so HPE bought Simplivity, didn't they? And you stayed on there for a little while afterwards. What did you do after that, or was that when you moved over to Gitpol/Remedio?
No, so there was an acquisition of the Simplivity technology by HPE, and as a transitional period while the technology was integrated, I worked at HPE for 12, 18 months or so. Following that, I joined Dell Technologies and was at Dell Technologies for the best part of 4 years and had a really great time there. But I found I don't want to say I was going through a midlife crisis, but there was probably a point in time where it was, am I working for a living or am I working for a purpose? And It was at that stage in life where it's like, okay, kind of getting older now. I've paid my dues. I've been around the block. I want to get up and enjoy what I'm doing every day. And looking back into the past, that's where, going back to the Simplivity days, I love that. And, I really felt like I was making a difference for customers and be able to use my network to help other people within customers and prospects that I was dealing with. And that was a great time. So it kind of like prompted me then to say, okay, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to see probably what's a good cultural fit for myself and what's aligned to my values again and what I really love doing. And then I joined a great organization called Tanium that is in the cybersecurity space. And so I was at Tanium again for the best part.
Transition from standard infrastructure into more cyber world.
Absolutely, yeah. And the infrastructure side and the platforms and the transformation that I was selling across HPE and at Dell, there was a big shift going on in the world at that point as well to cloud, right? So even though there's absolutely still a place for infrastructure, the clear transformation areas and the benefits to organization were coming from more the cloud-based organizations versus continuing to sell physical hardware that sits in a data center and is managed by, a number of folks. So So it was a transition for me and a steep learning curve, and a wonderful learning curve at that. So I spent the best part of 4 years at Tanium, had a wonderful time there. The company grew significantly, and as happens with organizations, as they grow, priorities and values change within organizations. And again, I kind of find myself towards the end of my career there, maybe my values and my priorities may be drifting away from the ethos of the company as it evolved and grew over time. So so that brought me on to my next exciting project now with Remedio.
So you've taken over as the sales director for UK and Ireland then. So yeah, the name changed shortly after. It was Gitpol originally, and we can talk about why it was Gitpol. But also, can you tell us a bit about the change and what you find exciting about this new opportunity?
Yeah, so again, referencing back to that pseudo midlife crisis and understanding what's important to me in life, and it's helping prospects and customers solve a challenge that they thought was too difficult to solve through technology, or through expanding my network and opening that network up to them to help them with challenges and help with their career progression as well. When I had a conversation with the CEO and founder, Tal Collender of Gitpol, now Remedio at the time, the light bulb just went off. We just meshed so well. Her ethos, her philosophy is customer first, collaboration, and the technology is it's an incredible technology. It's a complete diamond in the rough, which, you know, at an early stage of where it is and the launch into the UK now, is just an incredible technology that solves probably a problem that security and operations teams have faced for the last 15 to 20 years. So technology, values aligned, and the passion and the excitement that the CEO has to want to do the right thing for customers and prospects is just, it was perfect for me. So obviously great technology, but the value and the prioritization of we want to do the right thing and help people with problems that they've got versus we want to make a quick buck, absolutely aligned with where I am in life, and an exciting chapter for my next part of the career.
So talking about Remedio itself, it's been around a little bit in the States, and they've got quite a big customer base in the US, but not really been in the UK at all, or even publicized in the UK. What would you say is key thing for people to understand about it? I know, you know, from my perspective, with a military background, the starting of the product as a military technology and a military idea from both offensive and defensive military engagement with cyber, I think is a good starting point. Anything that comes from that background has usually got a healthy set of features and functionality, but is set in the realities of what people need, rather than something that's been dreamt up by a couple of boffins in their back room. It's more, this is the challenge we face, or this is what we've identified from our offensive operations. These are the good foothold positions to take, and we need to be able to use technology to understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I love the history of how our company has come to be where it is today, and all credit to our founders. And you mentioned before the previous name of Gitpol. Our previous founders were called Gilad, Jacob, and Tal. And that was the GYT, and the POL is around policy and configuration management, which is where this is best of breed and provides seamless, non-disruptive remediation and auto-remediation of misconfigurations. But Tal effectively was, and I'm not speaking out of school here because you can go online and search this, but Tal, she was a hacker as a teenager, right? And she did very well out of this stuff before joining the Israeli Defense Forces, who then obviously realized that she had a very unique skill set. And over those years, Tal's kind of approach to life changed. And when she went into the world of commercial world, she then started to help organizations develop technologies and defenses against the things that she did when she was a teenager, right? And so she's created a technology which absolutely is based around what an attacker thinks and how they get into organizations, and has created something which allows organizations to create a self-healing, proactive security posture. So, incredible story. That's now come to market. Following on from that, the name change to Remedio amply kind of describes what we do versus the founder's name. So this release now, yeah, and absolutely, and you know, not to talk too much into the product today because I know we've got further to come on that. But the clear differentiator for me with this company versus the technologies out there, which will give some visibility of security gaps and misconfigurations in organizations' environments. The clear thing is that we can actually map the dependencies around a remediation and give a clear, concise path to non-disruptive remediation of security problems across an organization. So it's not just the ability to see the problem, it's the ability to take action against that problem, give actionable insights against it, whilst also being able to do that in a non-disruptive business manner.
Yeah, I think that's quite important because like you say, there are technologies out there that will identify misconfigurations and areas that could be a challenge, you know, from a threat perspective, but they don't always tell you anything more than a pointer to a knowledge base that says this is how you go and fix that. That's one thing. Secondly, when you go and do that, you're not sure whether you're going to affect the operation of the organization. And some organizations, you know, the slightest change can really cause some major impact. We've seen some. We haven't got heard the how it happened, but we've had the challenges with AWS the other day, and it'll be quite interesting to see what caused that. In the past, it's been commonly changes that have happened that have not been checked and the impact of those changes in advance. So we'll see that. But also, at the moment, we're seeing a lot of attacks that are costing a massive amount of money. I saw in the news this morning the aftermath of the JLR attack. They're talking about potentially losses of 1.9 billion. That is a large amount of money to lose from a cyber attack. And if we go back to Tal's background, using these misconfigurations is the way that most hackers start. They find this misconfiguration somewhere that gives them that little crack that they can get into the first part of the system and then open it up and then get into more, and then following the usual hacker process of lateral movement, finding more surface to attack and more different things that they can get access to. So, Remedio is all about understanding what your risk is, but also understanding the impact it would have if you make any changes to that. So it's not going to break your systems from an operation perspective as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And you've probably seen it's all about proactive IT hygiene and proactive security posture. If the windows and the doors and the gates are locked, it's less likely that someone's going to get into your organization. And then the requirement or the need for tools like XDR and EDRs and the other kind of defensive tools that are out there, the reactive tools, but with a ample and immaculate IT hygiene and security posture that can continuously evolve and look after itself, that creates much less of a risk to organizations from a business continuity perspective. And I'd say over the last kind of 10 years, we've probably seen a massive change in organizations' appetite for risk as it relates to, do we want to change? Do we want to protect this and spend some money on something that may happen in the future versus today it's happening. There's state-sponsored attacks, there's organized crime gangs, there's a number of bad actors out there that weren't there 10 years ago. And the news now is becoming prevalent with these type of things. So, we believe we've got something that can help a lot of organizations from a proactive standpoint, and really looking forward to the release and the launch of Remedio in the UK.
I think there's a couple of other things that have changed over the last 10 to 15 years as well. If you look back 10 to 15 years ago, or back to Tal's time as being a hacker, you would have to develop your own tools. So you're writing code to be able to, get into these systems through the misconfigurations, or the specific issue that there is with a particular patch on Windows or whatever technology that we're using. Nowadays, the big, the top 10 hacker groups are sharing information. They're selling their technologies that they've developed to other people. You can go out on the dark web and effectively buy an attack, can't you? And you can even rent infrastructure to do things like denial of service, and distributed denial of service. So it's not like it was 10 to 15 years ago, where you had to have a level of knowledge and skill before you started. You can get a lot of that just effectively buying it off the shelf these days.
Yeah, there's a lot of threats out there, Lee.
Yeah, so there we are. We're coming to the end of our time. We were going to talk for 15 to 20 minutes. We've just gone over 20 minutes. We're going to come back next week. So one thing I wanted to do is put your LinkedIn profile on. So if anybody wants to connect with Jamie on LinkedIn, there's his profile. You can get through to that. Also, we're going to come back next week. So we're going to talk about some of the next stage. So next week, we're going to go into a bit more depth about the technology and what benefits it has, but also talk about some of the unique factors as well. So join us again next week at the same time, 1 p.m. UK time, so we can both have lunch and learn at the same time. Anything else you think we need to tell people about Remedio or yourself that we haven't covered today?
I think we're good, Lee. It's been wonderful talking to you, and looking forward to the upcoming series over the next few weeks.
Thanks ever so much. And so we'll shut things down, and if you could stay on afterwards, and we'll have a quick chat and cover off what we've discussed today. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining us, or if you're watching this recorded, thank you for joining us later. If you've got any questions about anything we've covered, or any questions to Jamie about his career so far, stick those in the comments, and we'll come back to those during the week, or even on the live call next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. I shall see you all soon. Thank you very much.